Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'd like to thank everyone for joining. My name is Josh Hammer. I'm a Securities Partner Solutions Architect with Amazon Web Services. On the webinar today, I also have Kim Lambert, the Senior Product Marketing Manager for Imperva, and Aaron Blakely, the Director of Global Security Operations for DigiCert. And today we're going to talk to you about how to gain rapid threat protection through automated DDoS and WAF solutions. In my role at AWS, I actually work with our largest software security vendors as they develop solutions to help our mutual customers elevate their security on AWS. And what I'm going to speak to you about is AWS security, identity, and compliance, and how our solutions on AWS and using AWS will actually help you elevate your security. When you think about the way we do security in the traditional sense, we generally have this challenge of lacking visibility. You are responsible for the physical security. You are responsible for isolating the servers and the storage, creating network separations. You are responsible for patching the host OSs and then the hypervisors on which that ran those. And then you were responsible for managing the servers on top of that. You're also responsible for your firewalls and your load balancers and all these types of infrastructures to support your applications. And then you had to support the security controls, web application firewalls. You had to make sure your authentication and authorization services were all together. And you had a lot of things to focus on. And a lot of it wasn't automated because a lot of it was really physical. There were actual servers. And you didn't always have the visibility you wanted. I'm always reminded when I talk about this of I did a data center move. We moved from downtown Manhattan up to upstate New York. And we tagged almost every server in the data center. And I got a call on Saturday being like, we have a server, we never found an owner for it. What should we do? I was simply one of the people on the risk team that had to accept part of the risk for it. And we're like, well, we just got to unplug it and we'll move it and hopefully plug it back in and everything will work. And we did that. And I guess it did because, no one called us later that week to say my service wasn't working and nothing worked. But we didn't know who owned that server, and we didn't know if it was really adding any value, but we moved it just to be safe. And that visibility makes it hard. And what it really came down to is you had a choice of moving fast or staying secure. And when you start to look at AWS and moving to the cloud, one of the things that helps you do is it allows you to change that paradigm to be able to move fast and stay secure. And it's not just us that's saying it, it's our customers as well. Whether it's running and analyzing billions of brokerage transactions with FINRA, or helping ZocDocs move from a monolithic application to a serverless and more automated solution so that they can focus on really helping provider and patient solve their mutual problems. Or Vodafone, who helped develop a payment system with SIM cards. All of these customers found that leveraging AWS helped them run their sensitive workloads in a more efficient manner. So how does this come together? And it comes together with the idea that you can now let AWS do some of the effort. Because at AWS, we say security is our top priority. But internally, we actually say it's job zero. It means it is everyone's responsibility and it is always the first thing we're thinking about. And it's because we're supporting millions of active customers, from large enterprises to startups. And it starts with our core infrastructure. We've built it for cloud and to meet the stringent controls associated with that. It's maintained and monitored for confidentiality, integrity, and availability 24/7. And that world-class team that's monitoring this solution is also building and maintaining and innovating with security solutions and automation that you will benefit from as well as you use our security services. And what we also do is we also have the largest network of partners. And we have partners, not just system integrators that will spend time and help you build it and get it working, but we have ISVs, these software vendors like Imperva, that help have solutions that help improve your security postures on AWS. And you get all of these benefits by going. The other big benefit you get is the obligatory slide of compliance and security standards. But what this really means is that these standards take a lot of effort and skill to get, and we spend our time focusing on it and delivering it. And we're vigilant about the privacy because we want to make sure that our customers are secure because they own their content. You can build an extremely scalable, secure global architecture across our 69 availability zones in 22 different regions. We provide you with the tools to allow you to automate and encrypt easily so that you can control access to your content. We provide you with the ability to do FIPS-based 140-2 level 3 compliance that's available through our Cloud HSM. Or if you're looking for more general encryption, you can use our key management service, which is integrated with over 50 different services. So with this, you have the ability to scale. And the scale comes with understanding how to work and control access to your data, to leverage the tools and identity and access management controls. So we're giving you the ability to control not only the users, but the resources and the actions and the detailed fine-grained authorizations that they have access to. And then you have those same controls over your KMS keys, so you can control it as well from a keys perspective. And with that, you also get to start to focus on being automating things. The more you can look to do automation, the more likely you are to reduce human error and focus on delivering more value to your customers by automating more of the work and focusing on the other values. And when you look at the requirements that we can meet across the board, as I mentioned, the Cloud HSM and all the other compliance requirements that we've associated, when you start building with AWS, you automatically inherit them. And what does that mean? It means that when you want to start building an application to meet a requirement, or let's say your organization is ISO 27001, we'll provide you with that our architectures and our infrastructures that you're going to run on have met these requirements. You have access to go read the reports once you're a customer in Artifacts. You can download it, take a look at it, and you can submit that to your auditors or reviewers. And then it's your responsibility now to just take on the parts above that. And that part is when you come to doing the automation. And the automation is really cool because with everything we build at AWS, it's an API. And what that means is whether you're going into the console to look at an EC2 instance or put an S3 object, all of those APIs are available not only through the console, but also programmatically via API calls. And you can use those calls to automate things. And a lot of customers can benefit from that because that automation makes it easier for them to understand how many instances they have. They can securely look and understand that. It also allows them to understand the configuration of their servers to make sure that they've deployed properly. It can make sure that when they see a response or an incident, they can respond to it in an automated manner. And partners and customers work together with our solutions so that those remediations and those threats can be responded to. You might find a guard duty alert and be able to respond to it by changing a WAF rule. And what this really comes down to is the shared responsibility model. AWS is responsible for security of the cloud. As I said, we take care of the infrastructure, the hardware, the physical security, and we're giving you the ability to build secure applications on top of it. So it's your responsibility to start thinking about how to control access to those services, make sure the configurations are right. But what does this mean at a service level? And I always like to take two examples. The first is EC2, which is our elastic computing service. And with EC2, what we do is we give you an operating system running in a virtual machine, basically. And that machine is your responsibility. So if it's Linux, you're responsible for updating it. You're responsible for making sure you install the right software on it and that you update that software. You're responsible if you want to use IP tables, how to set up your security groups to make sure it has the appropriate access associated to it. And you're responsible for deciding, whether or not you want to have a load balancer in front of it or scale it. All of those things become your responsibility. Now, if you look at another service like S3, which is our object store, you create a bucket and then you put objects in it. You don't have to worry about whether or not the infrastructure behind it's getting upgraded or patched. Your responsibility there is making sure that you have the appropriate controls to the bucket and to the objects. If you want to host a static page, you don't have to worry about whether or not it will scale up. It's automatically taken care of because S3's services and what you're responsible for is different than what it is for EC2. And as you do that, you need to think about that as you build your applications. And as you build this, we actually provide you with a set of security solutions. And it all starts with identity and access management. It's the front door to your AWS account, and in a way, the data center itself. So what does that really mean? It means instead we used to protect physical doors, and today we protect a login page. And with IAM, you can set the permissions, whether the users, whether you need to federate in, how they access the system. And then we provide you with other services to help you manage these things. For example, we have IAM policies, and people need to manage those policies globally across multiple accounts. And that's what we have AWS organizations for. And then we have things to help manage credentials. So the joys of managing database and application credentials with Secrets Manager. And the ability to share different resources like VPCs to other accounts is available through our AWS Resource Access Manager. Now, detective controls is one I usually like to always think about because it's one where our partners really enhance the space. And what they're doing is they're looking at the different data we have and they're adding enrichment to it. One of the things I ask all of my customers to turn on is CloudTrail. I look at CloudTrail as kind of the SIF log for what's going on in your AWS account. But basically, it logs those API calls that are made and writes them so that you can analyze them and understand them and monitor them. But we have some more advanced services like Amazon Guard Duty. And Guard Duty is actually analyzing data inside of your AWS VPC and queries to your account for what we consider malicious activity, be it malicious IPs trying to log in from Mars, or perhaps looking at being Bitcoin mining, or perhaps one of your servers being part of command and control systems in your VPC. And we'll provide that data, and then your partners can help influence that. Or with Security Hub, you can enrich the data and leverage incident response with Imperva. And then we look at the infrastructure protection. And this is creating that virtual private cloud, your kind of data center in AWS. And that can be enriched and enhanced with a bunch of different services. One of my favorite ones to call out is AWS Systems Manager, because it kind of helps give you a consolidation view of your different infrastructure and your pieces. But what I also like about it is it helps talk about a paradigm that we talk about in a lot of cases. And it's this paradigm of shifting from treating servers like pets to treating them like cattle. And this idea is that pets are something we nurture, we care for, we take care of. You know, if my dog is sick, I will take her to the vet. You know, she just was wearing the cone of shame, and luckily we got it taken off after she had a cyst removed from her eye. She's doing great. But, you know, if it's a cattle and something's wrong with it, you would probably have to get a new one and replace it. And that paradigm changes on how you treat your servers. There's going to be applications that you can't just delete or replace. So you have to make sure you patch it, like workspaces. And our system management tools help you support and manage those because it has something to deploy patches to different servers and other things for automation to be able to do it. And when you look at data protection in the next category, we have our key management service, which is a really great way to manage your symmetric keys. We have our certificate manager, which helps you manage your TLS certificates for ASIM encryption certificates. And what I like about it is we'll also update them for you, because I have occasionally actually had once a server cert expire and my service went down. Don't worry, the next day we had an Nagios monitor check that and keep it going, but I didn't have it available. And the last area we'll look at is incident response. And incident response is great because you can start to look with config to understand what your environment is and how it's changing. And then use Lambda, which is a serverless infrastructure, to respond to those changes in your environment. Or if it did see that malicious login, to perhaps take that IP address of that Martian intruder and prevent it from, add it to your security groups as a negative and send it over to your WAF to make sure that it's not coming in. I'm going to turn it over now to Kim.
All right. Thank you so much, Josh. I appreciate it. Hi, everyone. I am Kim Lambert. I am a product evangelist for Imperva Application Security Solutions. My focus as of late has been particularly on DDoS on public cloud. So that's why I am here today. And our security-focused CDN and application delivery. In the time we have today, I'd like to tell you a little bit about how Imperva addresses some common security challenges you may be facing. I also want to give you an intro to Imperva application security, which can protect your Amazon Web Services environment. And then what I will do is introduce you to a joint customer of both AWS and Imperva for a real-life look at how Imperva Cloud application security for AWS can be a benefit to you. Now, at Imperva, we recognize how difficult it can be to keep your business not only running but growing, especially as you're engaging in a digital transformation, like many of our customers. And moving more and more of your critical applications on premises to the cloud, while also mitigating risk. So, that really ties into what Josh was just talking about for moving fast and staying secure at the same time. That's why it's our mission at Imperva to keep business up and keep enemies down. And what we do is to drive down risk for your business with a layered security approach that just protects you no matter where you are in your cloud migration journey. Now, once deployed, solutions like our WAF, our DDoS protection, our bot management, they all work like they're intended to proactively identify, to evaluate and eliminate some of the current and emerging threats that are out there. So you really never have to choose between innovating for your own customers and your business and implementing some critical security processes. But of course, hey, don't just take my word for it. Imperva is an analyzed, recognized cybersecurity leader in the market, securing data and applications wherever they reside. Our products at Imperva are market leading in the field. We are a Magic Quadrant leader in the WAF space for 5 years running, have been repeatedly recognized as a trusted provider in DDoS mitigation. We've been named a leader in the Forrester Wave for DDoS service providers and also in IDC's DDoS MarketScape. We are a full stack solution set, and with somewhat recent additions to our portfolio in terms of RAS, and that's runtime application self-protection with the acquisition of a company called Previty, and bot management with our recent acquisition of Distill Networks. We've got leadership positions across the board since we're also recognized by Forrester as a leader in both of those categories as well. Now, Imperva is US-based. We're headquartered in Redwood City, California, but we provide security solutions for our customers worldwide. And this is all powered by our huge global network footprint. It's made up of over 40 data centers. Each one of those is a DDoS scrubbing center. And we've got an aggregate network capacity of over 6 terabits per second. And this is the backbone of our cloud application security. This is what enables us to quickly mitigate any DDoS attack that comes your way. This year, to give you some perspective, we've actually been mitigating on a regular basis some attacks which easily surpass 500 million packets per second. This is why some well-known companies with critical web applications and infrastructures really trust us to protect them. Our customer base spans a pretty wide variety of verticals, from financial services to e-commerce and healthcare. We've got well over 5,000 customers worldwide, including 7 of the top 10 global telecom providers, 5 of the top 10 US commercial banks, even 3 of the 5 global computer hardware companies. The list just goes on. But all of them come to us with one thing in common, which you all can probably relate to, and that's the need to protect their most valuable assets, their data, and their applications. So because of this, we offer our customers technologies that are best fit to their organization. And we offer bundled subscriptions for many of these offerings. So it's intermingling on premises, cloud, and hybrid protection. And then our customers can just choose which products they would like to implement. Now, we feel that this is truly the best approach, especially I think for AppSec, because it enables a layered security model where malicious actors must pass through multiple gates in order to actually execute an attack without introducing latency or jeopardizing some of your essential business processes. So we're essentially giving customers the opportunity to build their own defense in depth strategy. And on the AppSec side, which we're focusing on primarily today, we offer both on-prem and PCI-compliant cloud web application firewall solutions. They block the most critical web application security risks, and DDoS protection, which spans web, DNS, entire networks for that infrastructure protection, and individual IPs. So it's a full DDoS solution set, offering the fastest DDoS attack mitigation in the industry. And we actually back this by a 3-second time to mitigation SLA that does not impact performance. We also offer API security that integrates with the leading API management vendors, so that includes AWS, bot management for protection against all OAuth automated threats, the runtime application self-protection for security by default against both known and zero-day vulnerabilities, and a built-in developer-friendly content delivery network for security and application delivery that just really go hand in hand. Now, for the data security side of the house, we have risk analytics that prevent data breaches before damage happens. We have monitoring and protection for split-second threat response, database vulnerability discovery to really find gaps that attackers can exploit, data masking that masks sensitive data in non-production environments, and then also file security to stop ransomware. And this whole comprehensive security solution set is provided by one vendor. It's provided by Imperva. So that's something that's really unique to us. It's a complete platform of security solutions that just provides defense in depth across your on-premises and across your cloud environment. Now, if you learn nothing else from me today, from today's webinar, if you take nothing else away, it's that the best defense in depth protection addresses not just security, but also performance and availability. So defense in depth, it's not a new concept, but it's just become more important than ever. You've got the dissolving network perimeter, the number of applications rapidly being developed, and that grows exponentially every day. Not to mention the number of threats that are multiplying and increasing in severity. But you've got applications living in the cloud now, so it's harder to secure that perimeter. And a lot of times when you attempt to secure it with DDoS mitigation and you're trying to also repel other threats with things like a WAF, it can create usability issues for legitimate visitors. It can also cause performance degradation. So that's why you want to make sure that even when you are under attack, and it's not a matter of, if it will happen, but when, you'll still be up and running and available. So, to make sure you address malicious traffic coming in from outside the organization while letting legitimate users through and to protect yourself from DDoS attacks, you really need a highly accurate cloud WAF and bot protection, as well as really fast automatic DDoS mitigation. So for the on-prem side of things, you need some way to protect applications behind the perimeter. So that's where Imperva WAF gateways come in to help with layer 3 traffic that's coming in, and for more sophisticated attacks from humans that have gotten in as well. There's also use cases where you may have certain monolithic apps that you need to protect based on something that's a legacy. Perhaps you aren't able to even move it into the cloud. And that's where that Imperva runtime application self-protection, that RASP, comes into play. And for DevSecOps, it's important because multiple teams need to deploy applications that they're secure by default, that have built-in protection against zero-day threats. So no other edge security solution provider actually offers this, besides Imperva. Now, you may also want to protect against threats from inside the organization on the right, where you have your malicious, careless, and compromised users going after your applications, and data from the inside. For that, we're able to protect you with things like RASP and with our WAF gateways. But no matter if you have on-prem, hybrid, or cloud environments, they all have connections to your data, so to the database which you need to protect. And you want to have information that comes from the edge, which goes directly to the database, by having data security tools in place, like Imperva DAM, the data activity monitoring. It's defining and enforcing those uniform data security and compliance policies across your whole cloud and on-premises environments. And then feeding that information back into an analytics engine, which is actually our data risk analytics, to bring all of it together. So you need to take that security information from the edge through the applications to your databases and be able to output specific information actually synthesized into your SIM. So, with this structure, how can Imperva utilize a layered security approach to address your needs for protection on AWS? Well, take a look at that. If we focus in right now for today on the left-hand side here, carried over from the previous slide, what we find is that when you're looking at malicious traffic coming from the outside, where you have partners, you have customers, you have contractors, you have bad bots outside of your perimeter, the edge is really the easiest place to stop massive DDoS attacks, as well as to secure against common threats like the OWASP top 10. When you have traffic trying to come in, and it's coming from both live and automated sources, both malicious and legitimate, you need to make sure that only the traffic that you want makes it through in order to protect your environment, to shield yourself from a spike in bandwidth that's coming from the traffic you don't want. Now, as that traffic attempts to gain access to your AWS environment, Imperva lets legitimate traffic pass through, and then it identifies the potential threats, giving you the information that you need to prevent them from negatively impacting your business. So what we do is we take real live data about current threats, and this is crowdsourced from that global customer base, and we use it to help inform both our Cloud WAF and our DDoS protection services. These services incorporate an advanced client classification system. They utilize IP reputation data to automatically analyze, to identify and block those web application attacks and hacking attempts. They're able to stop automated DDoS botnet threats, plus manual attacks. And we're constantly at Imperva updating a list of millions of browser and bot signature variants. We utilize dedicated machine learning engines to really rapidly classify good bots and bad bots instantly. We're adding new variants all the time based on header content, behavioral patterns, technology fingerprints. So while these algorithms are dealing with the problem of automated attackers, we let the good bots through, the helper bots, the search engine bots, and your legitimate users in, while also blocking SQL injections, cross-site scripting, account takeovers, malicious API calls, site scraping, and a bunch of other threats. And this is all backed by ongoing research as well from our in-house security researchers that are staying on top of new threats that are happening all the time. So because of all this work that we do on the back end, it makes it easy for our customers. Our Cloud WAF is pre-tuned to immediately deploy in blocking mode without blocking legitimate traffic. The great thing about it that I want to bring to your attention is, it doesn't need to learn all the nuances of application behavior. Once you have the Cloud WAF from Imperva, it deploys in minutes. It just starts blocking right away, without risking false positives. Our false positive rate, it's near zero. It's at less than 0.01%. We have granular filters and controls in place for that, and to prevent access from unwanted visitors with IP address shielding that hides web server IP addresses. Now, as a side note, at Imperva, about over 90%, I'd say, of our Cloud WAF customers have our WAF in blocking mode. So that really speaks to our accuracy and reliability. All that traffic is just subject to access controls it can block traffic from unwanted regions, IPs, client types, but you can also easily create any custom security rules you want to enforce any specific security policies that maybe you need for your particular environment. So because of this high capacity global network we have, we can automatically protect against all types of DDoS threats. So network level, layer 3, layer 4, volumetric attacks, like SYN or UDP floods, and layer 7 application level attacks, like those OWASP top 10 threats that can really attempt to compromise your resources. And this DDoS protection just protects against any DDoS attack. It protects against any DDoS attack of any size, any duration, and that is in 3 seconds or less, guaranteed. No one else out there comes close to this mitigation SLA. And we can offer it because we have that capacity to withstand the largest DDoS attacks. So your applications are always available. They never go down. And this DDoS protection is just a critical part of our single tech stack, where we filter out bad bots, we protect APIs, and we provide that full content delivery network, which actually dynamically profiles websites and analyzes real traffic for some intelligent caching and for content optimization. So all of this works together to ensure optimal performance and an uninterrupted end user experience. Now, with all of the potential threats out there being analyzed, we provide a great capability called Attack Analytics. And Attack Analytics doesn't just present the raw data and graphs. I mean, that just does nobody any good. It actually correlates millions of events and groups them into a really small, manageable number of priority incidents. So that keeps your security teams from being overwhelmed with the number of alerts that are out there. It also provides some clear and really actionable narratives, so that reduces investigation times for your teams. And our analytics is actually integrated with AWS Security Hub so that you can actually receive critical security alerts for your AWS applications within your native AWS console. Now, with Imperva, you get a unified view of your entire environment here, with a single pane of glass. So this enables even small security teams to oversee all their applications, both on AWS and on premises. Now, I'd really like you to hear more about our customers' experience with Imperva for AWS. So with that, if you would, allow me to introduce Aaron Blakely. Aaron is the Director of Global Security Operations at DigiCert, and he is kind enough here to join us today as a joint customer of both AWS and Imperva. And he will be sharing with us how DigiCert benefits from our automated application security protection for their AWS hosted assets with Imperva. So welcome, Aaron.
Yeah, thanks, Kim. Thanks for having me on today.
Thank you for being here. Aaron, if you would, just to kick us off, could you tell us a little bit about DigiCert and what DigiCert does?
Yeah, well, DigiCert, we're the largest certificate authority in the world. We're headquartered in Lehi, Utah, and we have over 1,200 employees and offices across the globe that work to helping secure the internet and IoT devices. We provide SSL, TLS certificates, and managed PKI solutions to organizations globally that in turn provide their services to billions of users worldwide. Our global security operations team consists of 8 members, and we have a security operations center that's made up of 14 members. As the director of GSO, I'm responsible for heading up information security, physical security, and IT compliance programs. So as you mentioned just a bit ago, with a smaller team, there's definitely a place importance on having the right tools and software to make my team more efficient and effective at their jobs.
Awesome. Thank you, Aaron. So, you've been a longtime customer of the Imperva WAF, using WAF gateways to really protect your on-prem assets, but you haven't always had your applications on AWS. So can you tell us a little bit about what made you realize that you needed a new solution with AWS?
Well, yeah, so a little over a year ago, DigiCert acquired the Website Security Services business unit from Symantec, which some of you would know was formerly the Verisign CA. And as part of that acquisition, we inherited several storefronts and brands that we needed to migrate from that existing infrastructure to a new DigiCert infrastructure. So after researching various options, AWS was selected as our infrastructure provider for those new storefronts and brands. The global reach of AWS was a huge contributing factor in this decision, along with the overall stability of their brand and services offered. So even prior to the acquisition, we had been in talks with various vendors looking to find the right company to partner with. So we knew that AWS had a large enough presence to capably handle the amount and type of traffic the sites would be experiencing.
Absolutely, that makes sense. And I understand, Aaron, that you had some requirements that some of our folks on the call may actually relate to when looking for the right solution to then protect your applications from DDoS. I was wondering if you could share a little bit more about that with us.
Well, the primary requirement, the very unique requirement we had, was we needed to have the ability to manage our own TLS keys for our HTTPS traffic for compliance and legal reasons. So, but what the issue was if we couldn't delegate that control to a vendor, it would mean that our traffic would essentially be scrubbed to death because there was no way to distinguish between good traffic and bad traffic because there was no way to decrypt that traffic and peek into it and inspect it. So with that, if all the traffic was seen as bad, it would be sent to a black hole, and in turn, it would essentially render the service usage, and we'd still have a site-wide outage. So obviously, having that happen would be less than ideal for our business as well as our customers that were attempting to access our services. So we knew we had to find a vendor that would allow us to manage our own TLS keys and certificates to be able to have DDoS protection, but while still knowing we were the only ones with custody over those controls, over those keys and certificates. So, and that's where Imperva came in and stole the show.
Oh, that makes total sense. And, that was clearly something that was a big deciding factor for you and something that Imperva could uniquely provide. So Aaron, how does that flexibility and control that Imperva offers really make things easier for you over at DigiCert?
Well, Imperva allows their customers to manage their own keys and certs if they desire. So if you're a customer that either doesn't have any prior experience working with keys and certs, Imperva also offers the option to generate a key and certificate and install it automatically for you. So there's a few tasks to validate the certificate before it's issued and installed, but overall, Imperva's process turns an extremely confusing situation into a much easier installation. Most businesses won't have the need or desire to be as vigilant about their keys and certs, but since we're a CA, that means our own keys and certs are our bread and butter. And so keeping tight controls of those is paramount to providing the kind of service that has set DigiCert apart from the competition.
Right. And, like I shared earlier, we have a lot of customers who they're in the middle of a cloud migration journey, right? And we're able to help them with that flexible, that comprehensive protection as they're transitioning to AWS. I'm curious, Aaron, for DigiCert, how does it help you to have one vendor, with Imperva to protect your assets wherever they reside, with both WAF and DDoS in a single tech stack?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, being a CA means the DigiCert's environment is pretty different than most environments a lot of other types of businesses typically use. We operate a hybrid cloud and an on-prem environment. The cloud portion of the environment allows us to keep storefronts and brands, websites, all that stuff distributed across geodiverse locations that afford us the ability to serve region-specific content if we need. Using the cloud allows us to rely on the existing infrastructure for businesses like Imperva and AWS instead of spending the time and money for us to set everything up ourselves. So that frees up a lot of time for our ops and dev teams because it's just one less thing they need to worry about on a daily basis. The on-prem portion of our environment is mostly our backend systems. That's where keys and certificates are actually generated and issued from. Those extremely sensitive systems have specific policies and procedures as a CA that we absolutely have to adhere to. And the additional work related to those policies and procedures is acceptable in this particular instance because it allows us to keep our sensitive systems still kept securely in-house and on-prem.
All right. And, for you, specifically for cloud, what was it like to get up and running with Imperva Cloud Application Security at DigiCert? What was that process like for you guys over at DigiCert?
Well, the implementation of the Cloud Imperva DDoS WAF product is very quick and very easy. Essentially, you log in, you click an Add Site button, and then type in the domain name of the site you want to secure. And then what Imperva does is it just goes out, grabs the DNS configuration for that domain, and then presents the user a dialog box with a step-by-step instructions of what changes need to be made to start redirecting traffic to Imperva. During that process, you're offered the option to generate and install a certificate for your site as well. So a lot of users out there can have a site up and ready to go with default settings in just a matter of minutes. All of our critical sites are viewable in a single pane for managing configuration, alerting, and also incident response. By having all sites in a single pane, it does speed up the security team's response to incidents and faster identification of false positives. So that does lead to an overall increase in efficiency for the whole team. One nice thing I really like is Imperva allows you to delegate the configuration and management of the sites to other employees or other groups of employees as well. So that way you could have like an ops team that could be responsible for setting up, configuring, managing a site. And then my team would still have that insight into threats and alerts and overriding configurations. And then on the other side, you could have a marketing team that's in charge of like less sensitive sites, like for like a blog or a knowledge base site, and allow them to do the installation, configuration, and manage those sites. But Imperva allows you to restrict access between those departments, so the marketing team won't see what the ops team is doing, and vice versa. But then the security team can oversee all of those items. So it's pretty well thought out way to handle permissions.
This is a really good example of where it's all really about DevSecOps. Security, it's often seen as a bottleneck in application development, and maintenance processes. But at Imperva, we've actually changed that paradigm of how security, how dev and ops interact. It used to be because those solutions were built to work in isolation. The teams that use those tools, they were often isolated from each other. So you commonly had this notion that security impacted performance, that it costs more money and time. But this is where Imperva comes into play with our cloud application security, where you actually have more security, better performance, and then the greater control with less effort across the board. we especially know that uptime it's critical for all these teams. So that's why we back up our automatic protection from DDoS with with our SLA. So there's no business interruption. And I know DigiCert understands how critical this is, because for you and your team, Aaron, what does that mean if your website goes down from DDoS attack? What kind of chain reaction does that cause for you?
Well, DDoS attacks at DigiCert historically meant that our website became super slow or completely unavailable. And then, of course, in turn, our customers were unable to use the services that we provided and that they needed. DDoS attacks, when they would happen, it required resources across the board. We'd sometimes need, we'd have to get multiple departments involved, from product operations, infrastructure, security, and sometimes even marketing, and to help mitigate these attacks. Whether it's making manual changes to DNS or any other number of tricks, just trying to keep the site operational. Those attacks would stop our team from utilizing their time on other priorities and projects. It caused a massive amount of stress for those all involved. So efficiency across the board would plummet for everybody that had to get involved.
And I understand there's been some large-scale DDoS attacks that Imperva has actually helped to mitigate for DigiCert since implementation. So, I was wondering if you could tell us just a little bit about those attacks.
Well, yeah, we have seen attacks that run the gamut: volumetric attacks, layer 7 attacks, et cetera. So we put Imperva's DDoS protection in place, and we have had some large and sustained attacks that have lasted multiple days, sometimes even weeks. But after putting some of our core assets behind Imperva, the first real test we had was a large attack that happened over a holiday weekend, of course. So being able to watch our Imperva solution handle this attack, it was just a huge sigh of relief for myself and our entire executive team. Since then, we've been hit with session exhaustion attacks and other smaller volumetric attacks, about 5 gigabits per second. Some of these attacks have been sustained, like I mentioned, over 6 to 8 weeks. This year alone, Imperva has helped us mitigate over 200 DDoS attacks, and we've had over 80 million unique other events that the WAFs also detected and blocked in that same time period as well.
And Aaron, have you seen how when Imperva is mitigating a DDoS attack, what kind of effect that has on the user experience? I mean, does it have any effect? Do other parts of your company even know that you're under attack when that happens? I think that's what everyone would love to know.
Well, one of the best aspects about having the Imperva solution is our business nor our end users even know that our systems are under attack anymore. The presence of an active attack is completely unknown until my team notifies business units that anything's even happening. So, and that's allowed us to meet our SLAs and continue operating our business with confidence.
Yep, it's security while enabling the business. It's just so important because ultimately security teams need to be able to secure any applications the company puts out, right? Because that's what's expected of you, no matter where the applications are deployed. You may not even know where that's going to be, but on premises or on AWS. And if you can do that without incurring the latency that's typical in security implementations, then guess what? You can do your job while keeping your end users happy, while keeping other internal teams happy. So, Aaron, I think we'd love to hear a little bit about the benefits overall, really, that you've seen from working with Imperva. What is the result for DigiCert, Ben, of using Imperva for your AWS-based applications?
Well, let me start with saying Imperva's cloud application security product. It's definitely allowed our team to enjoy holidays. We worry less during time off, and we have a lot less stress while we're at home. The story I mentioned a little bit earlier about the holiday weekend is a pretty good example of that. That day started out, we were getting email alerts from Imperva about DDoS that occurred first thing in the morning. And so, of course, the first thing we did is we rushed to check to see if the site was operational or completely down. And surprised that it actually was up and running and functioning completely as normal. And that's when my team started texting amongst each other, kind of amazed and what was going on. And we spent the rest of that day just amazed and giddy over how much money this threat actor was spending on attacking us. And we didn't lift a finger, to do anything about it. And Imperva just did all the hard lifting for us.
That's what we love to hear. Absolutely. I was wondering if you could tell us just a little bit about any sort of security compliance levels as well that you've seen for it, just to wrap things up for some of those benefits.
Yeah, well, as you touched on before, Imperva Cloud WAF, it's a PCI DSS compliant web application firewall. So it's got the ability to detect and block OS top 10, like SQL injections, cross-site scripting, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, it's really great just to have all those measures in place to make sure you're protected. You're in compliance. You've got that integrated PCI compliant WAF, right? It's all taken care of. We hear from customers all the time that them being the only ones in the company, right? On the security teams even know that they're under attack. So this is a story we actually hear a lot. It's great to hear it from the DigiCert team. It all comes back to security, to performance and availability, right? That I've talked about. So the Imperva network it's able to automatically handle those large attacks. So we can keep companies like DigiCert safe. It doesn't matter the type of attack, the size, the duration of the attack. We can do all of that without dropping anyone from the service. And, because of that, we really pride ourselves on being a trusted partner in security.
Yeah, well, the ROI for Imperva is really easy to calculate because any downtime is lost revenue for DigiCert. And we know exactly how much revenue we make every single day. So we're paying a small price to avoid lost business and bad customer experiences.
Thanks so much, Aaron. I really appreciate it. I will hand it back over and we can get to some questions.
Thanks, everyone. I appreciate it. So we had one quick question I received regarding the mention of FIPS 140-2, and I just wanted to clarify what that is. So Amazon Key Management Service, KMS, in all regions it's available is FIPS 140-2 compliant. If you need 140-2 level 3, that's the physical hardware solutions, you'll have to use our Cloud HSM product in the regions that it's available in. And I'm going to take on another question as well right now, and it's going to be for Kim. When you talk about application delivery, what do you mean by that? How would you associate it and define it?
Sure. So with application delivery, we talk about our content delivery network. Our CDN, it is the backbone of our application delivery system. So we talk about actually having a security CDN. It is something that is integrated closely with our cloud WAF. So we offer a CDN, we offer load balancing, caching. And it all goes hand in hand. So you actually don't have to go to several different providers if you don't want to. You can do that with Imperva and have security with performance all combined. So able to make sure that you're guaranteeing performance and having the security on the back end at the same time.
Great. Aaron, I have a question for you. What is your future application deployment strategy going forward at DigiCert?
Well, Imperva is part of our standard deployed security stack now. So that protecting a site is one of the first things we discuss when any new projects come up. So my team and I, we spread the news about how great it is to everybody we can, and pretty much everyone's sold on board. Give you an idea, this morning on the way up coming to the office, I had one of the senior marketing people that came to me and has a new project, and they said that what they wanted to discuss was one of the first things, make sure that we got it behind Imperva. So it seems to be, our employees seem to understand how great and beneficial having that type of services to their own lives and for the company.
Great. So I have a question for Kim. I was wondering if you can kind of explain how Imperva SaaS solutions are bundled together and maybe how they're priced. So that people can understand the WAF and DDoS services and how they're put together.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's a great question. The way we handle or we offer our solutions is instead of requiring our clients to purchase separate licensing and contracts so that they can manage their security for both cloud-based and on-prem, and making that transition even more difficult for everybody, we instead offer something called Flex Protect. So that's solutions which allow you to not have to budget for unneeded on-premises equipment, and so that you can really protect your business as it grows, as you transition. So a lot of our customers have hybrid environments. So we offer subscription pricing, both for cloud and on-prem that you can buy all in one package. and we have several tiers of bundled licensing, and the pricing for those is adjusted based on your specific bandwidth needs, the number of sites. So you've got things that are included there altogether, like the cloud WAF, our WAF gateways for on-prem, our DDoS protection, our load balancing, the CDN, attack analytics, all of that is bundled together. Hopefully that helps explain things a little bit.
Yeah, I can pipe in a little bit. We took advantage of Flex Protect at DigiCert since we use more than one Imperva product. And since it just allows a lot easier to be able to combine services and take advantage of the Flex Protect pricing. And then it always makes it easier if you want to add some kind of new Imperva service in the future.
Great. So what makes Imperva unique for protecting assets on AWS and the cloud?
A lot of companies don't have the resources, and skilled teams in place to design, to deploy, and to manage all their security measures, both in AWS and for what they still maintain on premises. So for that, it all comes down again to Imperva taking care of managing risk for all your environments. We've got that highly accurate WAF, the best DDoS SLA out there, 3 seconds or less guaranteed. Mitigation typically happens in 1 second or less. So we've got all of that while improving that end user experience and enhancing your productivity internally, because we are able to correlate a lot of these security threats into easy to read actionable narratives, right? So instead of being bombarded with a ton of alerts that make you actually miss some of these threats that matter, we're able to make it into something that's actionable, that's easy to use, that makes sense for you. Our automated SaaS application security just protects your business critical workloads on AWS while also protecting your on-prem environment. So with that, we give you a really unified view across everything. So that's what makes us a great choice for protecting assets on AWS.
Great. Kim, can you talk more about the traffic classification process Imperva uses?
What was that, Josh?
It's definitely something that's it's a multi-layered classification process. So it's something where we don't just rely on one method for classifying traffic, right? It's both a positive and a negative security model. So not all the players in the market can do that. Traffic goes through multiple different layers of inspection. It's something where we're not just serving captchas and trying to figure out if traffic is an automated, is automated and trying to do something that's malicious, right? We do everything that we can to have all of this on the back end. I can certainly share some more information with people after the webinar where we can go into some more technical explanations for some of it. But we do have a pretty in-depth classification process that has some proprietary information for how we do that, but I can share with you as much as I can after the webinar. I'd be happy to send you some information on it.
Great. Hey, and this one's kind of for both of you, for Aaron and Kim, and I'll let you take it either order. But I was kind of wondering how, maybe we'll start with Aaron. How did you see Imperva's DDoS protection complementing their WAF?
Well, I think really what it was the fact that if, so it's your front door, right? So, I mean, if everything's hitting it traffic-wise, it's that whole principle that kind of you both kind of talked about earlier. It's just that invisible layer, like your network boundary, and having that, just having it all in one place it's pretty nice because you can just block all the malicious traffic before it even hits, your own firewalls and servers and, the rest of your defense in depth. So, and the feature parity isn't completely there between the cloud WAF and like the secure sphere on-prem WAF. The Imperva engineering team has been diligently working to add multiple features, on a very regular basis. And at this point, we've actually found that probably 95% of our use cases are addressed by the cloud application security product. So we've actually had discussions about removing the on-prem WAFs in the future.
Oh, that's great. So we're kind of running, we have about 5 minutes left. And what I do want to do is kind of ask each of you, we'll start with Kim, if I wanted to learn more about Imperva and Imperva solution, can you tell me where to go, where I can get some more information to get started?
Yeah, absolutely. So the easiest thing to do is to go to imperva.com. We've got our website set up, so it's very easy to look at all of our different security products for both application security and data security. You're obviously able to reach out to me too as well if you'd like directly. I'm at kim.lambert@imperva.com, so I can help you with that. If there were any other questions that came through that we didn't get to as well, I'll be happy to take a look at those and send out more information to help answer some of your questions. So I just appreciate everyone's time today. Thank you.
Yeah. And hey, Aaron, what if obviously you guys are one of the #1 certificate providers, but where can I go to learn the other services you guys offer and get more information about DigiCert?
Yeah, if you just go to www.digicert.com, you can check out our different products and talk to someone via chat or get a call back if you're interested in learning more.
Great. I'd really like to thank everyone for their time. Obviously, Kim Lambert and Aaron Blakely, it was a pleasure listening to you guys today. Thank everyone for attending as well. I wish everyone a wonderful rest of their week and a wonderful Wednesday. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.